Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Mohammed Aslam MA and welcome to this video on blood supply of the heart. So let us begin by defining the right and left coronary arteries and their emergence. So first, the right coronary artery and left coronary artery emerges from the sinuses. So before we go in depth, let's first define the posterior and anterior wall of the heart. So the different walls of the heart are supplied by different arteries. Also, the septum, posterior one third and anterior one third are also defined, and we supply is different in both the parts. So let us first begin by drawing the right and left coronary arteries. So the right coronary artery and left coronary artery arises from the sinuses. So the right coronary artery has four main branches. It can be remembered by remembering the short form as CAMP. So RCA consists of conus branch, AV nodal branch, and acute marginal branch. This is important because there is an obtuse marginal branch also. Then there is posterior descending artery. So the four branches are conus and AV nodal, acute marginal, and posterior descending. Now let's see the branches of the left coronary artery. So the left coronary artery consists of left LCx, that's left circumflex, and the LAD artery. So the left LCx consists of the obtuse marginal artery. So the right consists of acute marginal and the left consists of obtuse marginal artery. Now the LAD consists of diagonal and septal branches. So now we can draw the RCA. So RCA consists of four branches already mentioned. Right coronary artery consists of conus branch, AV nodal branch, and acute marginal branch, and the posterior descending artery. So these are the four branches, and let's start naming them. So conus branch, that's the first branch. It arises immediately after coming from the sinus. Then AV nodal branch and the acute marginal branch. So the final branch is the posterior descending branch. Now the posterior descending branch supplies both the posterior part of the heart and also the posterior one third. The AV nodal branch supplies the AV node, while the acute marginal branch it supplies the right free wall. So we are writing it on the right side, okay, for easy remembrance. So it supplies the right free wall. Now, as mentioned before, posterior descending supplies the posterior wall and also the posterior one third of the septum. Now let's go on to the left coronary artery. The left coronary artery divides into LCx and LAD. So the LCx further divides into obtuse marginal artery. So the right side has acute marginal, acute angle, remember that, and left side has LCx, which becomes obtuse marginal, obtuse angle. So that's how you remember. Now the obtuse marginal artery or the supplies the left ventricular wall, while the acute marginal supplies the right free wall. So left and right, that's how you remember. Now the LAD is further divided into diagonal and septal arteries. So the diagonal artery, so for easy remembers, see it as a diagonally shaped artery. So it supplies the anterior wall of the heart, while the anterior wall is supplied by the diagonal branch, while the posterior wall, as we have learned before, is supplied by the posterior descending artery. Now the septal branch supplies the anterior two-thirds of the septum. So let's recap once more. So the RCA, it supplies the conus, AV nodal, acute marginal and posterior descending branch. So CAMP, remember like that. So acute marginal and posterior descending. So now let's see what all areas it supplies the individual branches. So AV nodal branch, as we all know, AV node, acute marginal supplies the right free wall, while the posterior descending, it supplies two areas, the posterior wall and also the posterior one-third of the septum. Now let's see the LCA and its arteries and where does they supply. So LCA consists of LCx and it supplies the left wall, left ventricular wall, that is, and LAD, which consists of diagonal and also the septal arteries. Now once again, the LCx supplies the left ventricular wall, while diagonal artery supplies the anterior wall. So in posterior descending, the posterior wall and also the one-third posterior part is by the posterior descending artery. Here diagonal supplies anterior part and septal branch supplies the anterior two-third of the septum. So that's the key difference. Now we can compare both the arteries and their supplies. So once again, AV nodal, acute marginal, posterior supply respectively the AV node, right free wall and posterior wall and the posterior one-third of the septum. Again, the LCx supplies the left ventricle, diagonal supplies anterior wall and septal supplies the anterior two-third. So thank you for watching this video, and do subscribe, like and see all the previous video. And once again, happy learning and thank you very much.